啦，就已經有哇自己食產品啊、升領班啊，好激情、好澎湃。但係無奈真係我冇系統，即係咁樣，同埋我哋嘅夜晚佢已經好夜啊，佢係夜我哋幾個鐘噶嘛。佢自己頂得順聽，佢啲客人都頂唔順，咁所以最後又係慢慢淡咗落嚟。咁啊，但係我有一次，即係大家我想講呢個古仔呢，我哋要識得去把握我哋平時日常生活每一個可以啟發到我哋身邊自己嘅下線嘅古仔，你要好留意嘅。咁啊，當時呢，其實就我又係開嗰啲嘅籌委會啊嗰啲啦，咁就話傾有啲乜嘢 panel 啊，我哋要俾意見啊咁樣。咁呢，我唔知你有冇印象呢？其中有一個 panel 呢，係好似係一個越南總裁兩公婆訪問嘅。咁嗰個 panel 呢，就係一個喺澳洲嘅獸醫女人，有冇印象？有一個咁嘅故仔係。咁咧當時我哋聽即係 P-meeting 嗰陣時咧，我就聽到呢一個人澳洲中年女人獸醫，佢做康寶萊唔係為咗揾錢，佢係因為佢時間好長時間工作冇時間俾屋企啊，佢想好錫個女，好想俾多啲時間個女。咁啊後來佢減到肥，佢睇到康寶萊係可以滿足到佢呢樣嘢，所以佢加入啊嘛。做咗2年就變副組啊嘛，所以都快啊可以有上台啦。我一聽呢個古仔，我聽2句澳洲咩，即刻撳着個電話錄音啊！即係佢喺個 Zoom 嗰度分享咁，即刻錄音。然之後咧 cap 圖，我就 send 俾我呢個下線。咁我話 Anna， 我一聽到澳洲女士唔係為錢都加入康寶萊，我即刻諗起你，我好掛住你。我話你快啲聽下佢嘅 sharing 啦。咁佢聽完呢，其實佢好感動，就係話我記得佢。咁啊，跟住我就再邀請佢，我話你同我哋去風雲盛會啦。佢話風雲盛會，我去澳洲好遠喎。我話有幾遠？佢話得我一個人去，我好驚喎。冇，唔使驚，你一落機我嚟接你機。最後冇啦，當然。即係我就同佢講啦，咁佢話但係我而家已經 disqualify 咗，唔係領班喎。我話即刻做領班，即刻買飛。咁佢最後係用2日時間到搞掂晒所有嘢啦，就訂機票啊咩啊咁樣咯，即係成個故事就係咁。跟住咧，我一見到嗰個 Natalie 啊，叫做嗰個獸醫喺台上，即刻飆出去咧就握手影相，等佢落台交換 Facebook。跟住就即係連結佢哋啦，但係我個下線 breakout room 冇可能見到佢噶嘛。咁跟住就再揾嗰個阿 George Knight， 我話我有個孤兒喺澳洲，好需要你支援。OK，my dear， 咁啊，佢話 no problem。佢話你叫佢打俾我啊，你有我電話，你叫佢打俾我啦。今日我個下線打咗俾佢，哇！我明白人哋點解有咁大個團隊，佢個心係闊到咧。如果有一個9唔搭8嘅師奶埋嚟揾你話，我個下線你幫我搞下佢啦，咁可能都會嘅，但係你唔會好哇！我嚇親啊！佢係點樣呢？佢同我講，我已經同你個下線咧通咗電話啦，我叫咗佢咧，我 send 咗好多嘢俾佢，其中有一個功課，我叫佢要做完交俾我，我會再同你研究咩功課呢？佢話佢 send 咗一張嘢要佢填呢20個目標。佢話 Anna， 你要填20個目標俾我。我知道你呢20個目標之後呢，我會同 Rebecca 一齊令你所有呢20個目標都成真。哇！即係我嗰個感覺呢，我好明白點解大團隊大領袖佢哋會咁犀利。佢根本唔會分你邊個係佢下線，唔係佢下線，全部都係康寶萊人。大家有冇感覺嗰個越南嗰個主席組阿康嗨呢？哇！佢又係咁樣講，佢話我哋唔係邊個嘅團隊，我哋係 Vietnam Herbalife 咁樣噶嘛，全部乜嘢人都係喺康寶萊喺越南係一樣。即係我覺得呢一樣嘢係我哋好大嘅提醒咯。有時我自己個心胸都好窄嘅，即係有時都會覺得哇！我咁嘔心瀝血諗呢啲嘢出嚟又 share 俾你，好衰格嚇！即係同人哋比較，人哋不但止 share 啊，仲用心去湊啊。所以我覺得我哋要做到保薦呢一個嘅心態係真係要開放咯。你要眼見到每一個都係佢值得更好。你想保薦對方，你要諗呢一個人背後一定佢有好多夢想想達成。 康寶萊可以幫到佢，我一定要同佢講，明唔明啊？即係我自己今次嘅會議，無論係台上台下左左右右，我都好大嘅得着咯。咁咯，咁啊呢一個係我自己嘅分享啦。咁校長點啊？而家跟住好啊，俾掌聲，主席。
嗱，今日就唔係我做主講噶，今日我哋嘅嘉賓已經到咗噶啦，佢啱啱落機嘅啫，所以大家要對佢好少少嚇，係啊。咁咧就佢係我哋嘅即係盤古初開，我哋嗰時康寶萊咧喺個 recruitment 嗰度真係好強盛嘅。咁而家我哋過去呢10年咧就係零售同埋客戶跟機好強盛。咁而家呢個2合1咧你就不得了啦，真係2.0啦，2合1。咁呢個股法咧其實就好基本，但係你要真係洗耳恭聽，有啲股法有時真係失傳嘅有少少。咁趁住佢呢個頭腦清醒、口齒伶俐咧，就咧真係要捉佢嚟講多幾句啦，明唔明啊？咁咧就真係3星總裁係浪不虛名嘅。你唔會無啦啦，你一升都話啊佢好彩咁樣，但係都唔會噶啦。係3星總裁咧，係一個國際嘅生意咧，佢做國際生意堅真係堅，真係堅，即係唔係三頭六臂，係好基本好基本。升咗咩就係夠基本。嗱你唔好理啦，頭先我哋阿 Rebecca 總裁講越南啦，佢就清楚我哋基本都冇得再基本。全世界 number one 嗰個 RO 你頭先冇講到係嘛？咁嗰個姐真係你見啦，即係我加佢嗰個 top 50咧，咪有個越南嘅姐講嘢嘅，你都見佢係咪都唔係即係唔係貌美如花啦係嘛？雖然都幾靚女係嘛？係咪又唔係高大威猛啦係嘛？即係好平凡，你喺街邊你以為真係一個唔知係咩阿姐嚟嘅啫。你唔好理乜咯，係成個亞太區 number one 嘅 RO 喎。憑乜嘢咧？我即係都係好奇噶嘛。咁啊 Rebecca 乜都知嘅佢係啦。嗱呢個乜都知嘅咧就犀利，啲國際刑警嚟呢個係。
咁咧我就問我熟嗰個越南總裁啊嘛，我話喂，你哋嗰個 number one 啊 RO 阿姐咧，佢哋玩邊科㗎？點解咁勁嘅咧？佢好勤力㗎。我話你哋全部越南人邊個唔勤力啫？個個都勤力㗎啦咁樣。咁跟住佢話佢哋有幾種唔同嘅做法嘅。佢話嗰個阿姐咧係做 NC 嘅，同埋佢哋咧越南有一套嘢咧叫 Seed to Success 嘅。係啦，咁又有人做 NCIP 嘅，佢話不過 NCIP 喺佢哋嗰邊就麻麻地效果，咁越南大推嘅咧就叫做 Seed to Success。咁佢話喺 Honor 嗰度咧，呢個阿姐咧佢阿香水咧係啦，佢就講咗10分鐘嘅，咁啊係啦，校長我唔知你記唔記得啦。
其實咧仲真係好神秘嘅。咁你見到你哇貌美如花咩？即係高女威嘛，你就留心啲聽。人哋平凡啲，你話哦咁得瞓下覺先，或者去一次廁所。即係但係你唔好理乜，全世界 number one 全世界 number one 嘅直銷商叫做 John Peterson 又係㗎。佢講嘢係悶到冇得再悶㗎，係全世界最悶嘅一個人嚟㗎，係悶到冇得再悶㗎。講嘢係咁由頭到尾係平嘅。咁樣咯，咁但係後尾我見人哋咁連續咁多年 number one，咁樣梗係洗耳恭聽啦，都係講基本嘢，即係你唔係要真係要飛天遁地啊！你話哇係咪一定要咁？最堅嗰啲反而唔使飛天遁地啊，仲一個仲堅，都係堅嘅。全個亞太我係第一個主席組啦，第一個嘅創辦人咧，台灣阿叔，直情你見都未見過喎！哇，嗰個又係即係佢好犀利嘅，佢話係啊最犀利。我不會打字，我不帥，我不會開車，我不會電腦，但是我是 number one。你咪殺死啲係神級嘅，你可以話。所以我哋唔係話要去即係嗰啲好花巧，基本功係最重要嘅。咁好啦，咁啊就時間關係啦，咁我哋咧就今日我哋即係英國人嚟嘅，所以講英文嘅係啦。咁咧就有一個咧，我哋有一個英文翻譯咧，就係即係好犀利㗎啦。係好專業㗎啦，咁咧就我哋嘅大上線準備好啦，係咪？So without further ado, thank you, Craig. Straight from the airport, come here for a wonderful sharing for all of us. 3,000 sharing for all of us.
I think I need to lie down now after
我
that.
諗我想瞓低。
Are you going to show pictures on here or later? Okay, so I can walk around. Okay. Okay, so you're excited, right?
你好興奮係咪？
Oh, I like that. And how many of you were in, where was it we were? I've forgotten.
有幾多人去過新加坡啊？
Singapore, yeah. Who was in Singapore? Oh, congratulations.
恭喜你哋啊。
Almost everyone.
恭喜晒
Fantastic.
你哋。
Congratulations. Do I tell my story from the very beginning? Like
係啦，我講下我嘅個人故仔，
when I was depressed? When
包括我好謝嘅時候。
if the room had been empty, I would have been depressed.
如果冇人嚟，我就會唔開心。
But okay, I'm British, and in 1986, my company sent me. Does everybody know my story?
係咪個個都知道我嘅故仔㗎？
Oh, okay. So I'll tell my story then.
係啦，咁我講下我個人故仔。
In 1986, I was working in the UK, and my company offered me the chance to come and live and work in Hong Kong.
我1984年咧，公司派我嚟香港做嘢，我本來係英國人。
I worked for an international sports company, and my job here was to go to countries like Taiwan, Korea, Thailand, just across the border into China.
係啦，咁我公司係做呢個嘅體育用品嘅，咁我要 cover 咧係亞太區幾個地區啦，台灣啊、韓國啊咁樣，泰國。
And I went to factories with some of our representatives from around the world.
係啦，咁我帶全球嗰啲客咧就去工廠嗰度睇下啲出品。
And to basically buy products that could be tennis rackets, badminton rackets, squash rackets.
咁啊，主要做球拍啦，係啦，嗰啲網球拍啊、racket 波啊嗰啲。
And I loved my life here in Hong Kong. And just actually, when we come here, we just passed literally 10 minutes ago the cricket club where I used to play cricket in Coxie Do.
係啦，咁喺國士道嗰度，我以前咧就喺嗰度打曲棍球啊。係啦，咁咧就其實我好 enjoy 喺香港，我中意香港。
So I was a corporate expat guy. I was the guy who sort of lived the nice life, and I'd sort of go to the club at the weekends, and life was great.
係啦，咁我嗰時候咧係作為一個海外嘅外派員工啦，咁所以變咗好多條件咧都好優厚嘅。咁啊週末咧就成日去打波，咁啊悠哉悠哉，好好嘅。
One of the countries that I spent a lot of time in going to factories was Taiwan.
係啦，咁其中一個地方咧，我成日去嘅話咧，因為要睇廠啊，咁我去台灣好多。
And it was there that I met my wife Doris, who used to work in the coffee shop of the biggest hotel at that time in Taichung.
係啦，咁我亦都喺台灣咧就遇到我嘅太太啦，咁啊台灣人 Doris。
And somebody laughed. Right, okay. I'll send that clip to Doris. Okay. And life was great, but inside the company there was a lot of corporate politics.
係啦，咁其實咧生活好似好悠哉悠哉，但係其實大公司咧就好多人事嘅關係。
And so I wasn't always happy at work because of certain of the things that were going on with management.
係啦，咁嗰啲辦公室政治咧，我唔識玩嘅，我覺得咧係呢樣嘢令我做得唔開心。
I can see one or two nodding heads, so I think you know what I'm talking
係啦，
about.
你有啲人咧點頭咧，我知道你明我講乜嘢。
Anyway, on the 12th of November 1990, I was running out to go to the dentist in Central.
係啦，咁我有一次咧就去咗中環。
And the managing director, his name was Ronnie, he said, "You're off out somewhere?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to the dentist. I'll be back later."
係啦，咁佢話：你頭先去咗邊啊？我去睇牙醫咯，我晏啲會翻嚟。
He said, "I just need to see you for a moment. It won't take long."
佢話：我有好少嘢同你講嘅咋，好快。
So I went into his office, and about 30 seconds later, he told me I hadn't got a job anymore.
係啦，咁其實咧就係佢叫我咧就抄要接個大信封，咁於是我就馬上失業。
After that, I went to the dentist.
係啦，咁我接咗大信封之後，我就去睇牙啦，係。
So I had my 3 months notice, and I didn't want to go back to UK because I thought I would be a failure. I'd been in Hong Kong for 4 years.
係啦，咁我喺香
didn't
港
wanna
其實
leave.
打咗工4年㗎啦，咁我有3個月嘅通知嘅，咁我唔想翻去老家英國，因為我覺得咁樣會好失敗。
So I got a job as the general manager of a newly formed trading company in Canton Road, almost opposite where the Herbalife office is.
係啦，咁我喺另外咧，於是乎我又嗱嗱聲又揾到第二份工喎，就喺呢個尖沙咀廣東道嗰度做一個嘅經理，係啦，
I absolutely hated that job.
係啊，但係我又憎到不得了嗰份工，哎呀好難頂啊！
There were far too many directors of the company, and I couldn't serve each and every one of them because they all wanted different things.
係啦，咁原來咧我頂頭咧有好多老細嘅，哇咁啊佢各有各要求，我一個人都唔知應酬邊個老細先啱。
My life got even more incredible that day or at that time, because after a few months, the managing director gave me a pay rise. He said, "You've qualified through your probationary period and all the rest of it. Now you've got a pay rise." So I got a pay rise.
咁但係咧你唔好理喎，咁又過咗順利咁又過渡咗呢個嘅試用期，於是又加咗我人工。
1 week later, the same guy told me I hadn't got a job anymore.
係啦，咁但係加咗人工1個禮拜咧，加人工嗰個老細咧又係佢炒埋我，係啦，我於是又失業。
This is actually a true story. I've got the letter.
啊，呢真事嚟㗎，唔係我作㗎。
Maybe they thought they couldn't afford the pay rise. I don't know.
啊，佢唔知係咪覺得我要人工高啊？唉，唔知啦。
So I'd lost my job now twice in the space of 9 or 10 months.
係啦，所以我喺9個10個月之內咧，我2度失業。
I was like 35, 36 years old,
嗰陣時候我35、36歲。
and I'd always been taught that, you know, if you go to school, you've heard all this thing, you get a good job, you get your qualifications, that life will be great until you retire, and then everything's great.
係啦，我由細到大咧，我父母都係啲朋友都係咁同我講啊，你好地讀書，讀完書之後咧，係嘛，咁你就出嚟揾份工，咁跟住咧就會一帆風順㗎啦。咁但係我咁短時間俾人炒2次。
Actually, the UK government give me a pension now, believe this or not, because I live in UK now and I get a pension from the government. And if that's what they pay people in pensions when they retire, then I would say suggest don't retire.
係啦，咁但係咧好神奇啊！我而家喺英國住咧，咁英國政府仍然都會俾一個退休金俾我喎。咁但係咧嗰個銀碼咧真係少到不得了。
Sorry? My job pension's about £500 a month.
一個月有500磅。
My state pension's about £500 a month, so I get about £1,000 a month.
咁都有1000英鎊一個月。
Right.
都有
Well, that
萬
buy me
零
2 or
蚊啦。
3 meals, I suppose. looking at it positively. Okay, so but at that stage, I made the decision because I was finding in the first company, which was a fairly sizable company, there was a lot of politics, and I found there were certain people I could trust and other people I couldn't trust.
係啦，咁我第一份工嚟講咧，嗰間大公司大好多嘛，咁但係咧嗰個辦公室政治咧又非常之複雜，有啲人我信得過，有啲人信唔過。
But having worked as an employee for 17 years, I really felt that I ended up with nothing because for a year after I lost my second job, I was absolutely broke and I got nothing left at all apart from a credit card.
係啦，咁其實咧，我總結嚟講，我打咗17年工咧，做咗幾間公司咧，到我就再俾人炒嘅時候咧，我其實咧仍然都儲唔到咩錢，我就身無，其實真係身無長物，我淨係得翻一張信用卡。
And I was 37 years old now, and I was 10,000 kilometers from home.
係啦，咁我嗰時候37歲，又幾千萬里離開我嘅屋企。
And so I decided I didn't want to work for anybody else again. So what I thought was, I'll start my own business.
係啦，咁所以變咗，我覺得咧，我都係唔適合打工㗎啦，不如我自己做老細。
Now that sounds great. You think, oh, right, I'm going to be my own
咁所以呢個
boss.
噱頭其實都唔錯嘅呢個
I'm
諗
going to
法。
have my own business. I'm going to be a
自立啊要。
businessman.
係啦，好嘢啊，要自立。
I haven't told you the results of my business yet.
我又冇話俾你聽有咩下場。
It didn't go too well.
啊，其實麻麻地一個下場都。
So then I decided, because I'd worked for a trading company. I was going to be, I'd have my own trading company, and I called it BC Services.
係啦，咁所以變咗其實因為我做過貿易啊嘛，咁所以變咗我又不如我就自己搞下貿易啦咁樣。
BC stood for Best Consulting Services, and I designed my own business card.
係啦，咁我卡片寫住咧 Best Consultant，即係最佳嘅顧問。
It was very nice. I might have shown you in one of our other businesses.
係啦，有機會俾你睇下張卡片。
So I couldn't. Every business needs customers.
係啦，咩生意你都要客㗎。
It was easy to find factories making all sorts of things all over Asia. Finding factories wasn't a problem.
我大把工廠，大把供應商，係啦。
Okay, so that didn't work. Then I got into a direct sales company called Study Methods.
係啦，咁於是乎咧，發覺貿易唔得嘅話咧，我不如試下做直銷啦咁樣。
And they showed me this little square thing with 100 squares in it, and how you could put all these numbers in, look at it, and 10 minutes later, you could know what number was in every single square. And I thought, wow, this is fantastic.
好得意喎！佢係整咗好多方格咁樣咧，然後咧你又去研究下啲方格咧，咁樣10分鐘之內咧，你又有所發現。佢話：咦，都幾得意嘅喎。
It was about memory techniques.
其實係點樣幫你咧記憶啊？記憶法嚟嘅係。
So I bought 40 programs in that company and sold one.
係啦，我買咗40套翻嚟，我好掂啊！終於賣咗一套，有39套剩翻。
And lost $5,000.
係啦，咁我蝕咗5000蚊美金啊，差唔多4萬幾啦。
At a similar time to that, I came across an American skin company.
係啦，咁喺差唔多同時期咧，我又發現到有另外一間美國嘅護膚公司。
Now this was a multi-level marketing company and is a very successful company.
係啦，咁呢間咧都係多層次式嘅，亦都係一個都幾成功嘅公司。
This was the first time I was introduced to multi-level marketing.
係啦，呢個
Before
其
then, I
實
didn't know what it
係啦，
was.
我成世人咧係以前冇接觸過多層次式嘅市場計劃嘅。
So it's a good company, an international company, had good products, but it just didn't work for me.
係啦，咁其實間公司好喎，產品都好，但係咧唔知點解咧喺我身上咧我就搞唔得掂。
Can I?
係啊，你可以講下你間公司名。
New Skin.
係啦，就係 New Skin。係啦。
Has anybody else been there? I remember in Lan Kwai Fung, we were sponsored by an American lady from California called Eva Hensel.
係啦，咁咪有個嘅我哋嘅介紹人咧就係叫 Eva，咁喺蘭桂坊。
And we had an organisation meeting. This is the first time I'd ever been to an organisation meeting.
係啦，咁你又搞個組織會。
And there were 7 of us in the room. This was the organisation.
係啦，有7個人參加嘅組織會。
And but Eva didn't have enough chairs. She only had a small apartment, and we had to sit on the floor. And sat next to me on the floor was a lady called Queenie Leong.
係啦，咁咧7個人中有一個人咧就叫 Queenie Leong，係啦，就坐喺我隔離。
Oh, you're getting the whole story now.
而家你明啦係嘛？我哋嘅淵源喺邊度嚟？
But and that's how I first met Queenie.
係我第一次認識Queenie。
I thought she seems reasonably sensible. She wasn't crazy then. She was,
係佢冇而家咁 crazy。
she was Queenie normal person back then.
嗰時候正常啲嘅。
And so that's how we got to meet. And then later on, maybe a year or so later, I said to Queenie, my best month in New Skin, I made $200, which is about 1,500 Hong Kong dollars.
係啦，咁我有一次咧同 Queenie 傾偈嘅時候咧，佢話我話我喺 New Skin 咧，我最叻咧都係賺咗1500蚊港幣。
And she said, you did better than me.
佢話你勁過我好多喎。
But to be fair, as I say, New Skin is a successful company. It's an international company. It's doing great. So it wasn't about them. It was sort of more about me.
係啦，咁啊講句公道説話咧，間公司係一間正經嘅公司，係美國嘅大公司嚟嘅，咁所以變咗咧，唔係嗰間公司唔得嘅，係我自己嘅問題。
So by now, with 3 failures to my name and 2 job losses, things were starting to look pretty desperate.
係啦，咁所以變咗我經歷咗2次炒魷魚，3次生意失敗之後咧，我使到一乾二淨啊，真係冇晒錢啦。
And then every Saturday morning, you'd get the South China Morning Post, and it would have about 160 pages of jobs in it.
係啦，咁當時候咧，我揾工咧就係要睇南華早報嘅，咁個禮拜六咧就買一沓翻嚟，係咁刨。
And on about page 156 or something of all of these jobs, it would have business opportunities.
係啦，咁去到最版尾嘅時候咧，就有呢個生意機會嘅一個專欄嘅。
And so I was looking through one Saturday morning, and I saw 4 adverts, and I thought, this looks sort of like there was a similarity with the adverts, and I thought, this sort of looks like multi-level again.
係啦，咁有一個禮拜六咧，我又係咁去揾工啦，係嘛？咁發覺咧有4個廣告，其實咧望落去好似又好似嗰啲直銷公司。
And I went for the biggest advert. It said, Asian company seeks key people for, I beg your pardon, US company seeks key people for Asian expansion.
係啦，咁我揾一個比較大啲嘅廣告啦，咁佢就話咧係美國公司就想喺亞洲嗰度拓展，咁啊需要人才。
And I thought, I'm a key person, I'm a businessman.
係啦，我話我咪人才咯，係啱我啊。
No more corporate guy, I'm business guy.
係我係生意人嚟啊，我唔係打工人啊。
So I couldn't afford to make the phone call, but it had a fax number. Does anybody remember faxes?
係啦，咁嗰時候咧係有
How
傳
old are you
真。
guys? I thought you were younger than me.
乜你有人知道咩叫傳真嘅咩？你都後生過我應該。
Yeah. So I sent a fax, and I basically had a choice of 4, but I went for the US company seeks key people because I thought it's English language. And the guy is in the UK, I'm British, but it's Mr. Wing. And I thought, Mr. Wing, he must be Chinese, but he can speak English. This should be a good link, a good connection.
我揀咧，因為咧佢嗰度有個叫做 Mr. Wing 嘅，咁我覺得大家講英文咧，咁應該呢個啱啊，呢個公司。
So I sent Mr. Wing a fax, and Mr. Wing called me back.
係啦，咁我傳真咗俾佢，佢係真係打電話俾我。
And Mr. Wing is not Chinese, he's Guilo.
係啦，我以為佢係中國人咧，點知原來係外國人嚟嘅都。
I felt cheated.
係啊，我真係以為係本地
So
人。
anyway, he called me back, and he said, we're going to be opening our business in Hong Kong. The person who invited me to this business, he didn't call him an upline, he just, whatever he called him. He said his name is Alan Lorenz. He's the number 1 in the whole of Europe, and he will be running some meetings in the Mandarin Central. So I went to meet him on a Thursday morning in the Mandarin Central.
OK，咁Mr. Wing 咧就話俾佢聽咧，我有個嘅朋友咧，好勁嘅，係歐洲最巴閉嘅，叫 Alan Lorenz 咧，就會嚟香港咧喺文華酒店咧主持一個會議，咁所以變咗你記得要嚟。
And this does sort of have a relevance to my topic, which is recruitment, by the way. So I'm not just telling the story for the purposes of
係啦，咁其實我講咁多嘢咧，就講緊咧點樣去咧保薦招募。
Because sometimes we never know the situation that people that we're talking to are in. We don't know that, and sometimes appearances can deceive you. They might look sort of happy, they might look wealthy, they might look all sorts of things, but that may not be the truth.
係啦，咁因為好多時候咧，我哋想保薦人嘅時候咧，其實睇佢表面咧，佢可能好掂當嘅，咁但係其實咧，佢裏邊有咩需要咧，我哋唔係真係好清楚。
Anyway, I went to meet the number 1 guy in Europe, and it was 10:30 on a Thursday morning, 22nd of October, 1992.
哇，咁都記得好清楚。第一次咧係見到我介紹人咧 Alan Lorenz 係朝頭早10點半。
And we spoke for about 40 minutes, and I said to Alan, I then asked the question, what if it doesn't work?
係啦，咁其實我哋傾咗差唔多40分鐘嘅，咁最後我就問Alan 係啦 Alan Lorenz，咁喂，如果唔掂咁點搞啊
Okay, and he said, what if it does work?
咁佢問翻我轉頭，咁如果掂咗你又會點啊？
Alan, it was just such an easy answer, but for me, I couldn't accept that. I asked him again. I said, "What if this doesn't work?" He said, "You've got to understand."
咁我又問多一次，我話咁如果真係唔掂，咁又點啊？
In about 12, 15 months, I've managed to lose 2 jobs. I tried a trading business, failed. I lost $5,000 in a company called Study Methods. I've been in a multi-level company, it didn't work for me either. I've had 5 failures in about 15 months. What happens if this one fails?
係啦，我喺過去嗰15個月咧，一年鬆啲，我經歷咗5次失敗，我又蝕咗錢。咁如果我又再輸多一鋪嘅時候，咁啊點啊？我又好恐懼。
6 years later, when I got my first Mark Hughes bonus at an extravaganza in Barcelona, Alan had all of his qualifiers on stage in front of 18,000 people, 12 languages, 22,000 people, I'm sorry. And then it was my turn. So I go up and Alan puts his arm around my shoulder and he said, "This is Craig."
係啦，咁6年後咧，我就喺大會嗰度咧表揚咧，我第一次係攞呢個 Mark Hughes 嘅花紅，
I first met
環球分紅
Craig
第一次，
in
係啦，
1992.
喺1992年喺巴塞隆拿，係啦，咁 Alan Lorenz 就喺台上咧就介紹我呢個就係 Craig Jones。
Oh, yeah, okay. It's good, is it? Okay. I'm just checking with my boss. So far, so good. Oh, okay. If it goes downhill from here, she'll get a rope and just pull me off stage. But no, but in front of 22,000 people, Alan then said, "This is Craig. I met him 6 years ago. After 40 minutes with Craig, I wanted to hang myself."
咁呢個咧就係Craig Jones 6年前咧，我第一次同佢講康寶萊嘅，咁而家佢終於咧成功咗，但係咧我同佢傾咗，嗰時候我同佢傾咗40分鐘咧，我最後嗰個結論咧就係我想自殺，我想死啊！
And you know what it's like at extravaganza? You get, because of translation, the sort of a load of people over there start laughing, and some people over across there start laughing, and some people at the back over there start laughing. Eventually, I've got 22,000 people laughing at me.
結果嚟講咧，你知啦，大會22,000人，咁啊因為有唔同國家嘅翻譯嘅話咧，於是輪住嚟笑我。當日咧就有22,000人咧就喺度笑我啦，就係咁。
Afterwards, he said, "It makes a good story, doesn't it?"
啊，咁呢個係一個好好嘅故仔嚟㗎。
But it was true. I was really, really negative. You couldn't have found anyone more negative than me at that particular time. It's
係啦，
true.
其實喺6年前我真係負面到無論㗎啦，你冇人比我更加負面。
If I'd have met me, I'd have got depressed.
所以你話我會唔會抑鬱？我肯定抑鬱到不得了。
So anyway, I came back to Hong Kong and got on the phone because Alan's saying was always, when you get back from extravaganza, you've got to get on the phone to everybody who didn't go to extravaganza and say, "I just got back."
咁每一次大會完之後 ，Alan 都教我就要打俾所有嘅人，就話咧我啱唔啱翻嚟。
Okay, so victim number 1.
於是乎我第一個就打俾阿 Queenie，
I just got back.
啱啱翻嚟啊！
Go, "What are you talking about? I'm just back from Barcelona, blah, 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 blah." I didn't know what I was talking about. It was a Monday morning.
係啦，咁我一早同佢講咧，咁啊 Queenie 唔明你講咩㗎，咩喺巴塞隆拿翻嚟咁樣講一大堆。
I want to see you.
啊，我要見你。
And she said, "When?"
咁啊幾時啊？
Now.
會即刻。
I had no idea where she was in an office doing whatever. I had no. Within an hour, she was there. Now I've got to say this. Oh, sorry.
係啦，
Eric.
咁我其實我唔知佢喺邊度㗎，咁但係總而言之咧，1粒鐘之內咧佢出現咗。
Okay. Within the hour, she was there. But she knew my situation when I went because I had to borrow money. I had to get money to be able to go because I hadn't got enough money.
係啦，咁其實佢我未去巴塞隆拿之前，佢都好了解我啦。我冇錢㗎，冇晒錢啊。咁所以變咗，就算我去咗巴塞隆拿，我啲錢咧都係借翻嚟嘅咋。
And then she said, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm in Yau Yat Chun."
咁我話你喺邊度啊？我而家喺又一村啊咁。
Okay. And I think she thought, she said, "Just come to the house in Yau Yat Chun."
咁總言之咧，嚟我間 house 嗰度啦，我喺又一村。
I've seen a video of you in Singapore a few years ago, and she thought, he's got a house.
咦，而家你咁樣咁掂嘅嘢買咗 house？
So you really came to see the house, which is my friend's. My friend let me stay there for a couple of
係啦
weeks.
咁其實咧唔係我嘅，我朋友嘅間屋。
But the important thing was, I think it was the tone of my voice, how I sounded. That was, and it was the belief that I'd got. I knew the products worked because I lost weight with the products. I got more energy with the products. I knew that, and I'd made a little bit of money, so I knew that, and I'd even earned some royalty, so I knew that. Not a lot, but I'd earned some, so I knew the system worked. But I'd seen 18,000 people. I thought I was going to, the biggest meeting I'd ever seen was probably not much bigger than this room, okay? I thought there's going to be a couple of thousand people there. We'd be sat at desks making notes. I walked into the sort of thing you saw this weekend in Singapore, and it was like, I can't even believe what I'm seeing. And then I saw Mark Hughes, and then I saw the original Dr. Katzen, and then Jim Rohn, and
係啦，咁其實咧就點解我覺得我點解會約到 Queenie 咧？其實就係咧，唔係話因為我有產品效果啊，我有賺到啲錢啊，我又知道啲嘢 work， 而係咧我個語氣啊，我嘅能量。咁因為我去巴塞隆拿之前咧，我完全唔會諗到咧有2萬幾人咁墟冚嘅場面，亦都冇見到Mark Hughes 啊，好多醫生啊，其他嘅領袖。咁所以咧我翻嚟嗰個成個人嗰個嘅氣場咧都唔同咗嘅。
I start slowly, Rebecca, but when I get going, I move quite quickly. So that just gave me a belief that I'd never had before, and I could suddenly see a future again.
係啦，咁所以變咗令我嘅信心咧係大增，我真係睇到我嘅將來。
But one of the things about recruiting is most people, and I'm the same, don't like rejection.
係啦，咁其實咧保薦嚟講，我諗同所有人一樣咧，都唔中意咧係人哋拒絕我。
And I took 4 supervisors with me. We had to be supervisor. I took 4 supervisors with me to Barcelona in my first extravaganza in 1993.
係喺93年，我第一次去 extravaganza 嘅時候，我係帶咗4個領班去。
But when I asked Queenie if she would like to go,
係啦，我有問過 Queenie 去唔去嘅喎。
she said no.
佢話唔去。
said 黐線鬼佬。
佢話佢黐線鬼佬啊。
And so, you know, that's we get more no's than yeses. It is a numbers game sometimes, and of course, every time you get a no, you're a little bit disappointed.
係啦，其實呢個係個數字遊戲，我哋成日好多嘅拒絕嘅，咁但係咧，你要明白，只不過係一個數字。
But we were disappointed. Sometimes at first, when you get your first rejections, you can be disappointed for a couple of days. Then you've got to learn to be disappointed for a couple of hours, eventually for a couple of minutes.
係啦，咁所以其實你初俾人拒絕嘅時候咧，可能你會有幾日唔開心咯。咁但係跟住你再做嘅時候咧，你會係有就算有 no 嘅時候咧，你都係幾粒鐘，最後咧可能係幾分鐘你就已經過去咗啦。
Okay, so that's just to give you a bit of my background. Now I'll just talk a little bit more on the recruitment subject.
係啦，咁所以你聽咗我嗰個個人故仔啦，咁而家我會講多啲關於保薦嗰啲嘅技巧啊嗰啲嘢。
In case you're wondering, these are notes.
嗱，我做咗功課㗎。
I need notes in case I forget what I'm talking about.
係啦，我通常都會寫低嘅，唔係費事一間講下唔記得咗。
Okay, it says here what I did, my story. I've done that. Okay. What it was like. Okay. Right, okay. So Alan said to me, because my sponsor, Tony Wing and Penny Wing, they did not come to Hong Kong until I'd qualified Get Team.
係啦，咁咧其實咧係 Alan 教我多啲嘅。Tony Wing 咧，我個直接上線咧係冇嚟香港嘅，直至到我上咗呢個推廣組。
But Alan said, first he showed me, he wrote on the tins how to use the products. Then his next thing was make a list.
係啦，咁佢叫我咧，除咗用產品之外咧，最重要嗰樣嘢就係列名單。
Make a list of everybody you know,
係啦，咁咧列晒所有你識嘅人，
whether they maybe need to lose weight, they need more energy, or they'd like to make some extra money.
係啦，咁啊無論佢話想減肥啊、多啲精力啊、想揾多啲錢，乜都好，
Okay, so I did what I was told.
係啦，咁我又聽話照做，
The other thing that he was said was come to the meeting.
係啦，另外一樣佢就話用會啦，
And so basically that was in the early days, that was the training. The training was how to use the products, the button response, make a list, come to the meeting.
係啦，
That
咁
was it.
我嗰個盤古時代咧，其實就係做呢幾樣嘢嘅啫，即係話咧用好產品咧，帶襟章咧，咁啊列名單到會。
Okay. And you work your way through the list. My list was 174 names.
係啦，咁我個名單嚟講咧，我列咗174個名。
Hong Kong, as it was back then, no mobile phones. We'd lost a number of people that I rang. They'd moved. They'd just gone
係
away.
啦，喺我嗰年代嚟
Maybe
講咧，
gone
係
back to their country,
係未
whatever.
有流動電話嘅，咁所以變咗咧全部都係直線電話。咁有啲人搬咗嘅話咧就揾唔到啦。
And out of that list, I got 9 customers
咁咧174個名單嚟講咧，我又出咗9個客，
and 17 distributors.
有17個係會員。
Now, do you know what number Queenie was on my list?
咁你知唔知啊 Queenie 主席係我排第幾位咧？逐個列啊嘛，係咪？
Oh, you sort of know, so
係啦，你知嗰啲冇講。係咪？我哋 dinner 嗰時候好似講
I
過。
didn't put that in my notes. So I won't bring that up again. I'm sorry about that. But the important point is you never know.
係啦，
You
個
never-
重點係你永遠估唔到。
Queenie's just like everybody here.
係啦，因為佢同你哋坐喺度啲根本係一樣。
You cannot tell, and so this is why you talk to everybody. No.
你有冇諗過一日成為主席組？
In fact, I'm still wondering how it happened. Found a circle coming up.
Great. We have someone who asked, could you say the ranking of Queenie in your list?
153
係啦，153啊，我話好微嘅，it's almost the end of the list。
out of 174.
最後嗰個係174。
Remember when I was at that other company, New Skin, and we were at that meeting, and we were both sat on the floor, and she was sat next to me.
係啦，曾經喺 New Skin 嘅時候咧，我哋坐隔離噶嘛。
I thought she looks a sort of fairly intelligent woman,
我覺得佢都幾醒下嘅。
but nothing else, you know. It's just the same as all of us.
係啦，但係又唔覺佢有咩其他個人之處。
Oh, hang on. Is the translation going wrong here? What's happening? Oh, I love this. When I say something and then you look at the translator and you think, is he really saying what I'm saying? Right, okay. So, but it's not where we are now, it's what we become. And this applies to all of us.
係啦，其實咧，大家唔好介意咧，係我哋而家嘅處境。其實重點係咧，我哋會變成一個咩嘅人？
Now, if I'd realised what was going to happen with Queenie, she would not have been 153. She'd have been above number 1. She'd have been higher than number 1, whatever that is.
其實如果我知道，我覺得佢咁勁嘅話咧，我應該係列佢咧係 number 1嘅第一個。我就係唔覺。
The point of someone's going to translate that back to me in English. So, now I really am lost. Where was I?
The ranking。
Yeah. So yeah, basically, I just worked the way through the list, and often I had a few people overseas, but not many. I met people that were coming through. You know, I didn't really. Well, I did talk to my family in the UK. They were not very. I can't remember. I have to look at the list. It's at home in England. I've still got the list.
我仲有個
It's still
名單
there.
喺英國啊，係啦。咁啊，校長就問佢係咪包唔包括所有人咧？咁啊，基本上都係香港識嘅多，有少少鬼佬。咁屋企人咧佢唔記得有冇啦。
My family were not very encouraging.
係啦，不過我屋企人係冇支持過我嘅。
They said you got to get a proper job.
佢話你正經
Has
揾份工
has
啊？
anybody been told you got to get a proper job?
有冇人叫你正經揾份工啊？
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I got a lot of you got to get a proper job.
係啦，好多人咁同我講。
I remember number 152 on the list as well. I think she signed up. She was an American working in Japan in the golf business.
係啦，我另外仲有一個咧係喺日本做嘢，係152
Nothing really happened there. But the thing is, you might be nervous about talking to somebody. I wasn't nervous about talking to Queenie, but you may be nervous about talking to somebody about the business opportunity.
係啦，有時咧，如果你同人哋講介紹呢個機會、生意機會嘅時候咧，你可能會覺得緊張或者有壓力。
And I think, as Juan Miguel said in Singapore at the weekend, they don't always join just for money. Maybe they're making money, and money's not a problem.
係啦，咁關麥基我哋喺新加坡嗰個講者佢都講過，唔係人咧對揾錢有興趣嘅喎。
But maybe their lifestyle, their health is a mess. At the time I was here in Hong Kong, I knew successful people financially, career-wise, but their marriages were falling apart. They were getting divorced, all sorts of, because of their lifestyle.
係啦，咁其實咧有好多人咧係為咗個生活方式㗎，即係佢話咧佢揾到錢唔等於佢一定係健康，亦都唔等於佢一定快樂。我喺香港亦都有好多朋友咧，佢係好有錢嘅，不過咧佢有啲人個婚姻咧都散晒㗎啦。
So you're not forcing anybody to do anything. You're asking them if they would take a look.
係啦，咁其實咧，你記住，你唔係逼啲人去做或者去用個產品，而係咧係邀請佢去睇下呢個機會。
And often it's not about themselves, it's about the people that they know.
好多時候咧，唔係嗰個人添啊，而係佢識嗰啲人。
Because it might not be suitable for them, or they might not want to do it, but they might know people who, I know a couple of people that might be interested in this.
因為好多時候咧，就係佢自己本身可能喺呢一刻咧冇乜需要，但係佢可能識啲人咧係可能需要個工作機會啊，或者可能需要改善健康。
But the way, if you're going to be really successful in Herbalife, is you need to have a team and you need to be making royalties. That's the way our business works.
係啦，咁所以變咗，如果大家咧喺康寶萊想要成功嘅話咧，你需要有自己嘅團隊，你亦都應該咧係要有 RO 嘅。
You can only make so much money through retail and wholesale.
因為你零售批發咧，你只可以咧係一個手停口停嘅方式。
And what happens if you stop retailing? What happens then?
係啦，咁當你一唔做直接去賣去批嘅時候咧，你冇收入㗎。
And you only have 24 hours in a day.
個問題就係我哋每人只得24小時。
But I knew from having been in New Skin, I knew the concept. I came into Herbalife at that time. I just needed to make cash. I needed to make money, and I needed it now. But I knew the concept of multi-level marketing.
係啦，咁所以變咗我喺 New Skin 上嗰間公司嘅時候咧，我已經明白成個概念，就係話咧係啊冇錯啦，我需要零售嘅現金嘅，只不過咧嗰個遊戲嘅玩法咧，零售現金只不過係一個細嘅一部分 ，RO 先至係重要，團隊先係重要。
And it's really just a multiplication thing, as you all know. So you need to have a team. If you want to be able to take it easier later on, you need to have a team. Otherwise, you can work till you're 70-something, 80-something, because you still need the money. So you need to build that team and duplicate yourself through that team.
係啦，咁所以變咗咧，其實咧，你唔想做到70歲、80歲咧，都仲係手停口停嘅話咧，一定要諗方法咧，盡快建立你嗰個團隊，咁然後咧做多啲複製。
And we were taught about something called the funnel.
係啦，咁其實咧好似個漏斗咁樣嘅。
And basically, you talk to so many people, and you get to invite so many people, and then so many people turn up. It's a decreasing number.
係啦，咁所以變咗咧大量嘅種子，咁然後咩人都傾到咁上下時候咧，就有啲人咧會嚟呢個會嗰度，有啲人聽咗會之後咧，就有啲人要用產品，有啲人用產品，有啲人做呢個嘅會員，咁所以變咗係一個漏斗式咁樣。
Until so you get to invite people. So you might invite 10 people to come to a meeting or a presentation or one-on-one, but maybe 3 of those 10 actually come.
係啦，咁就你可能咧嘅傾咗好多人，揾咗10個人，咁其實咧答應你嚟嘅話咧，只有3個人出現嘅咋。
But maybe only one of those people signed, but that's one person that signs or buys a product.
咁你3個人嚟嘅話咧，咁啊可能得1個人咧會同你簽做會員用下產品。
So let's say that you every day in a 30-day month you talk to you're a very good artist.
你係藝術家嚟嘅。
Let's say you talk to 10 people a day.
係啦，一日同10個人講30日。
Because if I said talk to 300 people, you go, wow, that's a lot of people.
如果我話喂同300個人講，哇好多喎。
And then out of those 10 people a day, you maybe invite 3 people. I don't know, whatever the number
係啦，
is.
咁啊10個可能你約到成功約到3個。
This is the whole thing about numbers. You're just going through numbers.
係啦，其實都係一個數字。
And so let's say that's let's say it's 3, so that's 3 times 30. That's 90 people a month you invite.
係啦，咁可能一個月咧，你約咗成功邀約到90人。
Okay. That's across a month. So you're inviting 3
成
people
個
a
月
day,
嚇。
for example. And then out of those 90 people, let's say
咁約咗90人啦
let's。say 30 people actually show up because
係啦，咁啊
people
有
say
有
I'm going to come, I'll come.
係啦，有
but they-
30個人出現。
Have you invited people and they said they'll come and they don't come?
有冇人成日放你飛機，話咗嚟又唔嚟？
I did a meeting in Wan Chai in about 1993, 94,
係93年我喺灣仔有個 office，
and I invited 16 people. 16 people said, I will come.
有16個人舉手話嚟聽會，
Do you know how many came?
有幾多人嚟啊？
0.
0，全部放晒飛機。
That was my best effort. 16 to one presentation, and they all said, I will
係
come.
啦，16個人個個話都話一定嚟。
So it is about numbers.
係啦，所以其實
So,
數字啊。
oh, that's in China.
係啦
So,
30
so 30
30
people come.
Yeah.
Okay, across a month, and maybe 5 people sign up.
可能有
I don't
5
know,
個人
whatever the numbers are.
係啦，
This is why you keep gauges.
係啦，所以點解你要有個記錄啊 gauges？
The fastest I ever moved in Herbalife were on the occasions when I actually kept gauges.
係啦，我幾時係做個業績做得最快最好咧？就係我有記錄嘅時候。
And because gauges keep you honest.
係啦，因為數字咧係令你反映到現實。
Queenie could have said to me, you know, I'm inviting all these people, but they're not coming, and you know, no one wants the products, and no one wants to make more money. But eventually, you've got to face the mirror.
係啦，咁其實咧你可以話，我約咗好多人啊，冇人理我啊，又冇人出現啊咁樣。但係其實咧，數字好似一塊鏡咁樣。
And we were taught you can lie to your upline, you can lie to your sponsor, but never ever lie to yourself.
係啦，咁所以變咗你可以下上線啊，下旁線啊，咁但係千祈咧唔好自己。
And the thing about keeping gauges and numbers, how many people you spoke to, how many people you invited, how many people turned up, how many people bought a product, how many people came to the meeting, signed up, maybe went qualified producer or something. By keeping those every single day in a month, then you look at the totals on the bottom. You know your percentages, you know your numbers.
係啦，咁所以其實咧係每一日你所有做嘅嘢，邀約啊、到會啊，有冇幾多人簽嘢啊，有幾多人開始用產品啊，用咗產品之後幾多人有效果啊，咁所以全部咧你每一日都要有一個好清晰嘅記錄嘅時候咧，去到月尾嘅時候你就有個百分比，有個成功率。
Usually, if people are not getting the results that they want, they're not getting the sales that they want, or they're not getting the number of sign-up new distributors they want, or supervisors, whatever, the problem is not down here. The problem is up here at the top of the funnel.
係啦，咁所以通常啲人咧，佢話：喂，我冇人嚟啊，冇嘉賓嚟啊，冇人用產品啊，冇人簽約啊。嗰個問題唔係喺個底嗰度，係喺個最頂嗰度，即係話咧開頭你播種嘅時候咧，根本個數量唔夠。
Okay, so what did how did I recruit?
係啦，咁啊點樣保戰咧？
Well, one way was the list, as you heard. I had 174 names, 17 distributors.
係啦，咁我頭先講咗我列名單啦。
But of course, the list eventually runs out. You can add a few people to it when you think, but it took me 3 months to make that list. I did not sit down with a notebook and go, right, number one. I didn't write 174 names in 2 hours. It took me about 3 months to get
我
that
我
list.
我搞個名單，其實我唔係坐喺度幾粒鐘搞掂，我要3個月啊加多減少咁樣先搞到百幾人出嚟。
And when I say I kept the list by my bed, I'm not joking. There were occasions, every now and again, when I'd wake up in the night and I'd suddenly just think of somebody. Just every now and occasionally, I'd think of a name, just in case.
係啦，咁我嗰張名單咧，我其實成日袋住嘅。瞓覺嘅時候咧，我擺喺我張床嗰度，咁啊可能瞓到半夜3更嘅時候，忽然間醒起咧，有邊個，我就即刻加個名上去。
Maybe that was one night when I was dreaming about you and I
我有一晚啊，我諗起你啊，夢中見到。
So flyers was another thing. You would have seen me often back in 1993, 1994 on Nathan Road in Chim Sao Choi, standing outside an MTR station at maybe 8 o'clock in the morning.
係啦，喺93、94年嗰陣咧，我係做好大量嘅發傳單嘅，咁我會喺尖沙咀彌敦道嗰啲地鐵口嗰度咧派傳單，8點鐘
Yeah,
朝早。
my favourite flyer places were in, I've forgotten the name of the road, near Daguilar Street in Central.
喺德記粒街
MTR
嗰度中
station.
嚇，我個地鐵口度，我亦都中意企嗰度。
And there would be, there would be like a post.
係啦，有碌柱喺度。
That's the road. Here is a post on the pavement.
係啦，喺行人路
And
上有
here
碌
is
柱。
here is the wall.
係啦，咁
So
啊背住埲牆。
with the post there, the people can't avoid me. So I'm, good morning.
係
Good
啦，
morning.
啲人要避咗波，避咗碌柱，所以咧就撞到喺佢
Morning.
面前，
誒
咁啊冇得避啦，一定要收。所以咧你點樣企咧係有學問嘅。
I remember one time I was Nathan Road in Chim Sao Choi at the MTR.
係啦，有一次我喺彌敦道尖沙咀地鐵口嗰度，
And it was winter time. I was wearing a suit and tie
我着住呢個西裝打埋呔
doing，flyers because normally you see
派緊
people
傳真
in shorts and
我通常着短褲嘅咋，
headsets doing that sort of thing. I was in a suit and tie doing
我
it.
着到執到正。
And I was with a friend of mine who was also a supervisor. And the
Like
guy
come on.
said, the guy said to him, "What is he doing?" And my friend said, "You don't know how much money this man makes."
係啦，咁呢啲人就話：喂，咁啊，呢條西裝友喺度派傳單喺度搞咩㗎？咁個朋友話：誒，你唔知佢賺好多錢㗎。
But the other place I liked to do it was outside immigration in Wan Chai.
係啦，另外一個點咧就係咧喺灣仔嗰度行人天橋去入境處嗰條橋。
I used to stand on the bridge as people were walking
係啦，
across.
嗰度好多人流㗎，我企喺嗰度中間，人來人往。
I got a GET team member from the immigration
喺
department.
嗰條
in
路
Wan
我
Chai.
出咗個 get team 啊，推廣組。
Queenie, you'll remember William.
係啊，嗰個叫 William，
William, yep. Yeah.
係啊，喺嗰度識嘅。
He said I think he collected 3 flyers from me across a period of weeks or a couple of
係啦，
months.
佢收過我3次傳單。
And eventually the third, I think it was the third flyer, it was, what on earth is all this about? And he called.
係啦，第3章嘅時候佢先再覆電話俾我。
Recruit flyer.
係一個保薦嘅傳單。寫啲咩咧？
It was 30 years ago. I can't remember what I
30年
said.
前記唔到啦。
It's probably Get rich now. Ask me how. I don't know what
好
I
嚟
said.
即刻發達，你要快啲揾我。唔記得，真係唔記得。
It was a long time ago.
係啊，真係好耐咧。
Yeah. But the point of the flyers and the point of advertising is very often it takes multiple times, and eventually someone gets curious. There needs to be curiosity. You know, if it's just join Herbalife, make money or something, then all right, whatever. You need to have something that's going to create a curiosity and ask someone ask a question.
係啦，其實派傳單咧冇咩秘訣嘅，但係咧你要派得夠密夠多，好多時候咧就係咧嗰個人接咗2次3次嘅時候咧，個傳單另外一個重點就係要引起佢有個好奇心。
But a lot of my part of my gauges was how many flyers I handed out per day.
係啦，咁其實我亦都有 keep 住數量咧，就係我一日派到幾多張傳單出去。
Now, if I could depress you for a little while, don't worry, it won't be for long.
係啦，唔緊要嚇，我講下少嘢，
Queen is now looking concerned.
我有啲
Okay.
擔心啊。
We also did posters back in the days when we could do posters, because nowadays we don't do
係啦，我哋
posters.
會貼街招，
And
而家唔得嚇。
I'd be out at midnight near, what's that place? Exchange Square, is it? I've forgotten the name
係啦，
of
我
around
唔知係咪
there.
喺中環嗰頭半夜3更，
Because I was living at that time in Discovery Bay, and I'd be
我
putting
住
up
緊愉景灣。
I'd be putting up posters.
係啦，咁我就周圍黐傳單。
And every morning when I was coming back,
係啦，咁我放工收工嘅時候咧，
you know, they'd have the tear off strips on the bottom of the
係
posters.
啦，咁我嗰傳單尾嗰度咧就有電話號
Pull
碼，我有
tabs,
搣
that's
緊
what they
啲。
call pull tabs. And every morning I'd come back,
Yeah.
my posters had disappeared.
係，咁我發覺咦，真係有人搣咗喎。
So one night I was putting them up,
係啦，有一晚咧我就我就照黐傳單
and
啦。
I just disappeared into a doorway, and I waited.
係啦，我又匿埋睇下係咪有人搣我啲傳
And
單。
I'm honestly, there was somebody following me behind, and he was taking them all down.
係啦，我原來有人跟住我嘅，我貼一張，佢係搣一張。
And it took a while for me to understand what was happening, because
我唔明佢點解要
why
搣晒
do
我
these
啲傳單咧？
posters keep disappearing?
係啊，點解我貼完就冇晒咁啊？
But we don't do posters these days. I don't think
係啦，
anyone
而家
does
唔
posters, do they?
唔
But
做得啦。
this was a long time ago.
係啦，
But
好耐之前嘅事。
this again is about handling disappointment, because you're going to get disappointment. You can't be successful in something like this or anything if you don't have a few disappointments
係啦，
along
咁
the
其實
way.
就我講呢個故仔嘅個體驗就係話咧，一定有啲嘢咧係會令你失望、失落嘅，咁但係你一定要克服佢。
So I knew if I got to the bottom of the funnel and looked at my gauges that if my numbers down here were not right, they were too small, the problem was up there. And if the problem is not up here, if you're doing the numbers at the top and you're still getting a problem with the result at the bottom, you need to go to your upline tab team member or your sponsor, your Wilt team member, whoever that is, and ask them, and say, this is what I do, these are the numbers that I have, and show them the numbers, and then see maybe there's something you need to just adjust a little bit to put it right.
係啦，咁我通常咧就會 keep 好晒我啲數字啦。咁然後咧，如果我發覺我最後嗰個結果係唔滿意，個數字太少嘅時候咧，咁我永遠都係檢視我最頂頭嘅時候咧，我究竟播咗幾多種？咁但係如果我覺得我播嘅總數嘅量係夠，但係我出嚟嘅 result 淨係都唔滿意嘅時候咧，你就應該去揾你嘅上線或者介紹人咧，邊個都好啦，去同你分析下究竟嗰個問題出喺邊度，會唔會係你做嘅方式或者有啲咩語句係錯咗？咁樣微調一下咧就應該 OK 嘅。
Because if you don't keep the numbers, it's very easy to feel down because you start to think, well, I seem to be doing all this work and I'm not getting a result.
係啦，因為如果你唔 keep 住嗰個數字嘅話咧，你好容易咧就會覺得咧，喂，我做啲嘢都冇效果嘅。
Keeping the numbers, however you're doing it, whether it's flyers or whether it's adverts, whether it's social media, whatever it is, you will see, you'll be able to identify what the problem, what is not right.
係啦，咁所以變咗咧，無論你用咩嘅方式去宣傳嘅話咧，打電話又好 ，walk talk 又好，乜都好啦，咁你全部都有數字嘅時候咧，你就會發覺咧係有邊啲嘢係得，邊啲嘢唔得，同埋咧唔得嘅話咧喺邊度有問題，冇數字好難跟。
But like when I used to invite people to meetings, it used to be if I had I don't know if I had 5 people in a meeting, maybe only 1 person would sign up.
係啦，咁我約人咧，好多時候係咁，我約到5個嘅話咧，可能得1個會簽做會員嘅咋。
And so maybe if I'd only had 3 people in the meeting, nobody would have signed up.
係啦，如果我唔夠連3個人都冇嘅話咧，應該就冇人會簽。
So too many people, myself included, particularly in the beginning, I was so focused on the 4 that didn't sign up and not on the 1 person who did.
嗱，咁好多人咧開頭嘅時候咧，我自己都係嘅，就係話咧有唔簽嘅人，我會好介意佢究竟點解唔簽啊？點解唔嚟啊？咁但係簽咗嗰個咧，我反而又唔理佢。
This is why personal development in our business, listening to people like Jim Rohn, those tapes and things like that are so important, because to be successful, to be really successful in the business, it's not knowing how to sell, it's not knowing how to recruit or not understanding the marketing plan. It's about the strength, mental strength that you have, your attitude.
係啦，咁所以變咗其實咧，點解我哋公司咁注重個人成長咧？因為嗰個關鍵就係唔係話你自己用到咩方法啊，講啲乜嘢啊，去揾到人用或者揾到人做，而係你自己嘅時候咧，即係我哋透過阿 Jim Rohn 大師咧，去提升我哋嗰個思維，你嗰個態度，你嗰個嘅信念。
And I used to see people, if they were interviewing people or after the meeting, they would sit with the guest for like an hour after the meeting, trying to convince the guest that they really need to do this.
係啦，咁我好多時候咧，我見到有啲同事咧，就係咧喺會後會之後咧，將嗰個嘉賓咧係熬咗成粒鐘，想去說服佢。
But never be like that, because you have a wonderful opportunity to change somebody's life.
係啦，咁其實咧唔好咁做咯，因為咧你俾咗佢一個其實係改變生命嘅最好嘅機會。
But it isn't right for everybody.
但係唔係每一個人都要呢個機會。
Your job is to find the people who it is right for.
咁我哋嘅工作咧係揾一個需要呢個機會嘅人。
So you don't want to take anything personally. They're not attacking you, or not. They're normally not attacking you personally. It's just they're not interested.
係啦，咁所以變咗咧，又唔好對號入座咧，就係覺得自己有問題，所以你簽唔到佢，係佢喺呢一刻嚟講，佢冇咁嘅需要。
And one thing that we were taught in the early days, I don't hear it so much these days, is 90-10, and that meant 90% opinion, 10% fact.
嗱，咁我以前咧都會成日提呢樣嘢嘅，就係咧有90%，有90%咧就係一個嘅想法嚟嘅啫，有1成咧其實就係事實。
And people have opinions about everything from sports teams to movies to restaurants, blah, 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 all sorts of things. People have opinions. And people have opinions about our business too.
係啦，咁所以人其實每個人咧對每一樣嘢都有個睇法嘅。咁啊對餐廳啊，對睇戲啊，對所有事都有睇法。咁啊包括埋對我哋呢個行業都有佢哋嗰個諗法。
They have opinions about nutrition.
對營養都有一個諗法。
And so, but a lot of it is opinion. It's not based on fact.
但係佢嘅諗法嚟講，好多時候咧都要聽人哋講嘅，咁就同事實咧其實係冇關。
So people will say things like, maybe I don't believe this is a proper business. I don't believe it works.
係啦，可能有啲人就話我唔覺得呢個係正正當當嘅生意嚟嘅，呢啲都係揾老襯嘅嘢。
Well, in 1993 in Barcelona, I saw that it was a proper business and I saw that it worked. And as did all of you last weekend in Singapore. You saw it, that's fact. You weren't having a dream, that actually happened.
係啦，咁即係等於我當年係93年我去到巴塞隆拿，或者好似我哋咁啱啱去完新加坡，我哋睇見嗰個係事實，嗰個唔係一個虛構出嚟嘅嘢嚟嘅。
And they were all supervisors.
嗱，咁個個都係領班。
And next year we're going to have 35,000, I'm told, supervisors and above in Bangkok for the extravaganza.
明年我哋有35,000人喺曼谷。
Can you imagine that? 35,000.
你諗下35,000人。
That's like the crowd at a Premier League football match.
係嘛？即係嗰啲超級聯賽嘅人數嚟㗎。
So you see, now you've got the strength. Maybe you didn't have that or confidence before, but now you've got that strength. You've seen it, you've experienced it, and somebody got each of every one of those 21,000 people there. Somebody was brave enough to speak to them, to invite them to some sort of presentation, and to sign them up.
係啦，咁其實咧，即係可能大家都以前咧都唔夠信心嘅，咁但係去完呢個大會嗰度咧，大家知道呢樣嘢，明白、睇到、感受到嘅時候咧，就應該係有信心去再做多啲邀約。新加坡有21000人去到，呢啲人全部都係有人同佢講過大會，有信心叫佢哋自己去睇。
Can you imagine what my life might have been like if I had not made a list?
係啦，咁你有冇諗過，即係如果我唔肯寫嗰個名單，咁我嘅生命其實會點呢？
I wouldn't have found a certain person.
我肯定唔會揾到 Queenie， 冇咗個主席。
Who in turn found each and
係
every
啦，
one of
冇
you.
咗主席咧，我哋成棚人都唔會喺度。
So, am I done, boss? Can I go and sit down now?
咁請Queenie 嚟，主席同我哋補充下。
Okay, so first of all, please help me to give a big hand to my sponsor. He has been very patient with me, very kind. I mean, he's amazing. You know, he's amazing. He's the best for me. He's very kind and keep me in peace most of the time. Yeah.
Piece or in pieces?
Yeah, both. Yeah. So any question 有冇任何問題啊？我感謝佢啦，頭先我講係啦。有冇任何問題想請教我哋嘅大師？好，呢位小姐 Jessie 嚇，得。So her question is that when you're back from Barcelona, 即係去 back from Barcelona, and Craig called me, and I show up in an hour. What he said to got me into something I got inspired. What did you say? I totally forgot.
Weren't you taking notes?
No, I have zero memory of anything.
Apparently, when you go Chairman's Club, you don't have to take notes anymore.
No. I mean, no. What did you say?
I just got back. And it was not what I said, it's how I said it. I just got back.
No, I mean when I met you
Oh,
in
when you
有一串. What did you say to me?
It's just 30 years ago.
I'm just translating the question. Yeah, you're answering that lady, right?
Okay.
Yes. You can say that. You know, that's 30 years ago.
The one thing that I do remember specifically was I told you to sit down on a sofa and I put a video into the
我淨係
TV.
記得咧係叫我坐低喺咗 sofa 度，跟住咧就俾我睇一個 video。
And I played the video, and the video was of Mark Hughes, the founder of the company, when he went to China.
咁個 video 就係馬克曉斯咧就去咗中國，係啦。
And Mark went to a hospital that was dispensing lots of Chinese herbs in Guangzhou, I think.
咁嗰條片咧幾得意嘅，就係咧馬克曉斯去咗一個嘅中醫院咧，因為當時其實中國咧好多時都係做中藥嘅係。
And sometimes you need to try and read people's body language to get a feeling of energy or lack of energy, something like that.
咁佢話真係要除咗即係聽之後，要睇下人嗰個嘅能量啊，即係個情況係點樣，要睇埋佢個身體語言。
Remember, it's not always what's said, it's sometimes a sort of reaction, a body language thing that you see from somebody.
所以唔係話佢講乜嘢，而係睇下佢個反應啊、身體語言咧，你要真係要觀察同埋感應嘅。
Now, I don't know if Queenie remembers this in particular, but she sat on a sofa and I stood at the wall behind the sofa
咁
and
咧佢
watched.
咧就喺個 sofa 嘅後邊嗰度，即係睇住我睇個電視咯。
And at the stage that it showed Mark Hughes going into China and inside that Chinese hospital dispensing herbs, she sort of sat forward, sort of like.
咁咧佢就留意到咧，
Like that.
我而家見到馬曉師喺醫院裏邊咧係嗰啲叫做配藥啊、配中藥嘅時候，佢見到我身體向前傾喎，咁樣即係好集中啊。
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever said that to Queenie before, but I was watching, and that's what she did, and that's when I went, yes.
佢話咧，佢當時咧自己靜雞雞喺後邊話掂啦。
So watch for people. Sometimes you just get clues in the way people react to the way when you're speaking with them, and their responses. They can be verbal, but they could be body language. You're just looking for clues.
咁你要咧真係要留意佢表情同埋身體語言咧，你會有好多嘅 clues 啊 ，clues 點講啊？
線索。
線索啊，唔該晒，真係犀利。有啲線索，究竟呢個人有咩感受？佢未必講嘅，你會睇到線索。
Yeah, that's it.
係咪好犀利？俾啲掌聲好唔好啊？哇！真係大師，真係大師啊！真係不得了啊！好勁啊！係有冇問題？多謝 Jess 問題問得好好啊！
Yeah, but that is true story, and I noticed Queenie's movement when she, at that time on the video, and that's when I thought she's interested.
咁佢好留意到我個身體語言啦，即係當時佢就係見到我呢樣嘢，佢就即係佢知道點樣再跟進下一步應該點跟進咯。
Yeah. Okay.
呢位小姐係租兒反主席嚇。
我想問阿 Craig Jones 啊，即係我哋親愛嘅大上線，好文靜啦，即係真係文靜到不得了啊！咁個內心有啲咩對話，去成日支持自己去堅持？因為揾咗你之後，隔咗一大段時間，近呢幾年就揾到2個總裁組，仲要喺新加坡、馬來西亞嗰邊，係啦，有咩即係有乜嘢？ 對話令到佢會咁樣堅持，因為佢係一個好內斂嘅人嚟噶嘛。
Okay, the question is
Thank you.
He see that you are very like more like not like an extrovert, you know, more like an introvert, you know, very quiet person. So after sponsoring me, basically not much happened for many years apart from me. So is there any internal dialogue that keep you going? Because the check is not bad, you know. So and how you know activate your any dialogue inside you to keep you going?
I think the things that I listened to more than anything were things like Jim Rohn. I think you just popped out of the room, but I was saying this is why personal development. We can learn how to sell a product. We can learn how to recruit a person, but the biggest thing of all successful people, whatever field they're in. It's about what's going on inside here, in their head. And in Herbalife and our business, unlike other businesses, we have the opportunity to listen to a lot of personal development. And I listened to Jim Rohn and a guy at the time called Larry Thompson. And there was a millionaire training. It was in English, but I kept listening to that sort of stuff all the time.
Just translate a second.
Sure.
咁周怡我哋主席咧就會話究竟咩對心對話？咁佢個答案就係佢不斷去睇個人成長，即係裏邊可能有嘢，但係佢入嗰啲嘢係好正嘅。聽 Jim Rohn 同埋另外一個嘅都係訓練大師叫 Larry Thompson 嘅係啦。
It's very important that you do listen to something, whether you've got some personal development trainers in Cantonese or whatever, but it's really important because sometimes you can feel low and you feel that nobody's interested. You need to keep the numbers, the gauges, but you also need to reinforce your mental strength.
咁佢好重要就係話咧，我哋真係會 down 嘅，亦都知道要做數字咧，不過你 down 咗就做唔到噶啦。係嘛？咁所以係一定要不斷個人成長，無論你係即係揾一個啱你自己，無論講廣東話、英文啊，係不斷個人成長，呢個就令到佢能夠繼續揾到第2、第3個大文。俾掌聲，好犀利啊！係真係超過大師啊！最後一個問題好嘛？有冇人就有問題？係好啊！話我哋真係主席嚇，請講。
我想問下就係佢自己本身嘅起步真係好負面啊嘛。咁佢喺成個旅程裏邊咧，有冇都遇到一啲同佢一樣咁負面，或者成日佢 叫佢做乜，嗰啲人都會 reject 佢，俾好多阻力佢。佢點樣帶呢啲下線呢？
So basically, you mentioned that you are super negative when you get started. You know, and you even get recognized as being very negative on stage. You know, by 22,000. That's not, he said. This is what I said. And do you meet anyone as negative as you are when you get started, of course? And then, and whatever you say, they're just negative. What do you do with them?
I could tell you a little story about someone in my downline who became a supervisor who was very negative.
咁佢可以講一個其中一個領班啦，係一個好負面嘅人嚟嘅。
And this story actually is 100% true. I haven't made this up.
呢個係完全唔虛構嘅，係事實嚟㗎。
I had a Belgian guy in my downline called Alan Brancard.
咁佢有一個咧比利時嘅下線咧叫 Alan Brancard，
I have no idea where he is now.
佢都唔知佢去邊度啦。總之就係有咁嘅人啦。
And someone came up with a nickname for him called Bleeding Heart instead of Brancard.
咁佢
they
有個
called
花
him
名咧叫
Bleeding
做咧
Heart.
係流血嘅心嘅 Bleeding Heart。
He was such a negative guy. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but oh,
佢係超級無敵咁負面嘅。
terrible. And yes, but the funny story bit, which is actually true.
而家係講話繼續都係講係千真萬確嘅。
I was in a bar one night with his sponsor, and Alan was with us in Hong Kong.
Alan Lawrence，
No, not Alan. Brancard. Alan Brancard.
佢有一日咧就係去咗一個酒吧啦，同呢個人一齊。
And there's only 3 or 4 people in this bar.
咁呢個酒吧得三四個人嘅啫。
Guess who walks in?
咁你估下邊個行入嚟咧
Richard Branson,
？Richard Branson，我唔識係邊個嚟㗎？
Virgin.
嚇咩？哦
The Virgin
哦，
guy.
嗰個Virgin 維珍尼亞飛機嗰個老細啊，係咪啊？
I'm stood there with a beer, and
佢揸住
I
個啤酒，
go, that's Richard Branson.
佢話：哇，呢個就係個 Richard 啦。
He looked as though he'd just been doing the gardening. He was wearing very scruffy. But
咁
it was
佢入
Branson.
嚟好似啱啱做完啲啲 gardening 嘅嘢啦，即係花園嘅嘢，周身嚟啊！
And so Alan Bleeding Heart,
咁嗰個咧流血嘅心咧 ，Alan 啦，
he was so confident in the Herbalife opportunity.
咁佢好肯定康布萊生意啦，
He said he went across to Richard Branson
佢即刻飆咗去個 Richard 嗰度，
and asked him for a job.
佢就問阿 Richard 你可唔可以請我啊？
That's true. That's no word of a lie. I was there. I saw it.
佢話
I
成
couldn't
全
believe
程
it.
去睇晒呢個嘢，
That is actually true.
數
I don't. It's completely irrelevant, probably, to the question, but I thought I'd just say it.
OK，nice
Yeah.
story。
The great
不過我唔係好
story.
明咯，咁都唔係幾負面咧，揾份工咁好正常。
But he was probably the most negative person I have ever met in the organisation that I work closely with. He was so
佢話
negative.
從來未見過一個咁負面嘅人咯。
I don't know how he had the courage to go and talk directly to Richard Branson. I've no idea.
佢唔知佢點解咁大膽去就飆去嗰度問佢攞份工咯。
If he'd been that brave in the business, he could have been a chairman's
佢
club
話
member.
如果佢做康布雷有
Yeah.
咁大嘅勇氣，佢一定係主理組噶啦。
Oh, there you go.
OK，
Anyways, I'm sorry about that, but I don't tell many people
this
that
is
story.
lovely story,
It's a
lovely。
nice story. Yeah. No.
OK，咁有冇其他嘢想問？So she still want to ask the question. You find some negative people. How do you help them? Can you bring them back into the path, the right path?
Yeah.
So do you have mildly negative people that you can they gone astray and then you bring them back?
Mildly, yes. If they're very negative, probably not. We had a saying. There's a saying in English. They say you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it
佢牛
drink.
唔敢水唔敢甩牛頭低。如果係超級硬頸啊負面咧，唔掂噶啦。如果係比較係即係溫和少少咧，OK 嘅。
I've met people this weekend in Singapore, and they said, I can't understand why this person won't do it. I keep telling them they're going to do it. They should do it, and we're not their boss.
佢話佢有啲下線咧，因為人哋好大嘅組織噶嘛，咁咧就話都唔明點解呢個人唔做，點解呢個人聽極都聽唔明嘅。你記住，我哋唔係佢老細嚟嘅，即係我哋唔係任何人嘅老細。
Yeah, I thought, in this business we're supposed to be our own boss.
我哋個個都係自己嘅老細。
I never said anything to Queenie about you've got to do this, you've
咁
got to
佢
do
永遠都
that.
唔會叫我做乜嘢，如果叫咧我都冇走鬼咗㗎啦，係。我最怕俾人管我㗎啦。佢最好就係 I'm saying that if you did that, especially in the beginning, I will be gone.
Yeah.
You know，
I know.
咁佢真係好醒喎，佢從來冇叫我做任何嘢㗎，真係好堅真係，俾掌聲佢好冇？真係好堅，啱晒我啊！
But I see so many uplines, and I'm not talking here, but
Right, you're
around
talking
the
about
world,
here, right.
around the world, different countries, they're going.
佢
Do this.
咁啊，佢話咧，即係佢話見過好多嘅上司或者領導咧，即係好似頭先咁樣，你要咁做，你要咁做，即係好管人嗰種感覺啊！佢話唔係講大家，係講呢間房出邊啲人嚇。
I'm sure that wasn't a translation, but never mind.
No, this is translation, exactly translation. You said you're not talking about the people in this room, this
Oh, that's
outside
correct,
this room.
yeah, okay, very good. All right.
Fair?
Doi. But if you're the downline that's, say, being pushed, the downline tends to think that the upline is doing it because they're thinking of their own pocket, their
如果你
own
係呢啲咁
money.
樣嘅人嘅下線咧，你會覺得哇，你係咪好緊張要我做多啲嘢，以後你要好緊張要賺錢，即係都唔怪得有啲咁嘅諗法嘅。
John Peterson, a top distributor in Herbalife, once said, "I don't make anybody successful."
咁我哋全世界 number one 嘅直銷商啦，就係全世界嚇John Peterson，佢話咧，我係冇幫過任何人成功嘅，即係我唔係令到佢成功，有咁講，我冇令到一個人成功。
I just find people.
我係揾一個咁樣嘅成功人翻嚟。
And if a person's going to be successful, it has to come from them.
一個人嘅成功係嚟自佢本人嗰個內在嘅。
Yeah. So you can encourage,
你可以鼓勵啦，
you can share stories,
你可以分享古仔、
product stories, business stories.
產品古仔啊、業務嘅個案啦。
And if it's your own downline, for example, you need to be vulnerable at times and tell them about your own struggles.
如果你係你自己下線咧，你唔使成日都係咁完美嘅，你可以坦蕩蕩講俾聽，就算你嘅掙扎啊、你嘅痛苦係咁樣去坦蕩蕩去對住每一個人嘅。
Because sometimes if you're quite successful yourself, they look and they might say, for example, they look at Queenie and think, everything was great. It was just great.
即係如果你乜嘢都係咁完美嘅咩人，你乜嘢都話真係實在好犀利，乜嘢都係好順暢咧，佢真係好難連結得到咯。
Can I tell a story? It's a little bit personal, so you say no if you don't want me to. It is about
Please
you.
do. You have good stories.
It's not a jokey story. This is sort of a story that surprised me and shocked me a little
This is
bit.
a proof already, right?
Okay. Okay. In 2004,
2004嗰年，
I just come back to Hong Kong from 5 years of living in the UK.
咁啊住喺英國住咗5年咧，就係翻咗嚟香港。
And we had a world team school
我哋有一個世界
in
組訓
Hong
練，
Kong for APAC.
係俾亞太區嘅一個世界組大學喺香港。
Doran, Andre, and one of his downline press team were doing this
咁我哋一個
world
嘅
team school.
當時嘅組藏組咧，有個叫做 Dorian Andrew 好出名嘅啦，就做一個培訓。
And Queenie was on stage.
咁啊 Queenie 即係我咧喺台上面。
And she was saying something, her training, I'm not sure what it was about, but she started to talk about the early days of Herbalife.
咁我咧就喺台上面咧講下早期嘅事情。
I was actually sat at the back of the room, but obviously I was listening and paying
咁佢啊
attention.
聽緊我講嘢啦。
And then at one stage she was saying how difficult it was in the early days and how much rejection she took.
咁佢就話當時係幾多嘅拒絕啦，係幾咁即係艱辛啦。當時係。
And she said she'd go home at night and she'd cry.
翻屋企喺度喊啦。
And she said, I never told my sponsor about what I was going through.
我從來咧冇同我上線講話幾咁艱難咯。Oh, you made me cry.
I never made you cry. Oh, right. Sorry.
Okay.
And she didn't. She never told me about, you know, I think it was probably when we were in Yau Ma Tei at that office in Wusang, was it Wusang House?
我哋喺匯社新行嘅時候啦，
And she cried on stage. And I've never in 30 years seen Queenie cry. And I was almost in tears myself because I never knew. She never told me.
You make me cry。
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
佢話咧未見過我係即係去喊咯，但係佢第一次喺台上面，佢見到佢聽咗之後，佢當時佢自己都喺度喊咯。
Oh, so I did say, I did ask.
Now you see me cry now,
Yeah,
right?
The second time. And it was me that made her cry. Oh, no. But, you know, that really, really touched me because it was so emotional. It was so unexpected. I'd never seen that before, and I never knew how hard. I knew how hard she was working. I could see that. We were working in that little office where Maylock started, but I just didn't know. I mean,
佢係從來唔知道啦，講我哋一個細細嘅 office 叫美樂嘅中心啦，佢知道係好勤力，不過唔知即係經過經歷咯，去睇一次聽當時係。
yeah. And so you can see the result, and you've seen it in front of thousands of people of a person who just never ever quit, never gave up, and I thank you for that.
I thank you for your patience and guidance. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So what now?
搞笑啊！So that's it for now. I think that everybody got inspired and learned a lot, you know, for simplicity and to solve, you know, very important, all the truth about, you know, how you make it to the top.
And it's important to keep together as a team, support each other. A lot of you in the room, you'll be friends with one another, maybe all of you, I don't know. But it's the strength of being together when, you know, when you're going through a hard time, when you're getting rejections, you know, that you support
我哋
one
要成
another.
日都喺一齊啦，因為大家都會有嗰個經歷啦，能夠互相支持、互相鼓勵係相當之重要嘅。
Because Hong Kong and many other countries around the world, there's going to be a lot more president team members and chairman's club to come. And it's going to be the people who stick around, keep supporting one another, take the rejections that you get, never take it personally, or, you know, learn how to get over it very quickly. And you know that if you keep going, you will win.
喺香港咧，仲有好多未來嘅總裁主席都未入會嘅。咁我哋大家真係喺個過程當中，無論經歷啲乜嘢咧，係繼續互相係在一起，互相支持啦。咁當然我哋會經歷當中有好多嘅 rejection，咁要學識咧點樣係能夠係喺呢個 rejection 裏邊自己嘅情感上啦，好似頭先我講啲幾個月變咗幾日，幾日變咗幾分鐘去處理到自己去。
Okay. 唔該，唔該，我謝謝你。
再俾熱掌聲，我親愛、超級無敵嘅偉大嘅上線，感謝感謝。好，咁啊，大家簽名影相陣間先啦，係啦 ，OK。好 ，thank you so much.
Oh, I can go, can I?
Yeah, you can take your seat,
I
okay?
can leave.
I'm going to speak in Cantonese, just you know, to ask everybody to just have a quick sharing of the takeaway and what you they can apply. 我想大家咁啊，趁住自己仲有啲記憶啦，因為真係頭先經過即係阿 Craig Jones 啦，佢所講嘅嘢，有乜嘢你係學到，同埋有乜嘢可以擺翻你自己你人生或者事業當中嘅，簡單同隔離講一個得啦。因為即係頭先你最深刻或者最學到嘅嘢係乜嘢？咁咧同隔離講，然後就有乜嘢可以下一步你真係能夠嚟緊出年曼谷啦，講緊3萬幾人，有啲乜嘢由而家到曼谷你可以 apply 喺你自己嘅事業當中嘅？好，馬上快啲啦！大家一人講2分鐘嚇。 咁啊，線上嘅同學咧都自己諗一諗，即係回憶下頭先我哋嘅內容，有啲咩你學到，有啲可以實踐喺你自己嘅工作上、你嘅事業上，令到你今年真係步步高升，進入下一個階梯嘅。最後半分鐘啦，未講，我講埋少少啦。好啦，差唔多啦。好，大家翻返嚟啦，係咪陣間未講晒？陣間可以落去食啲嘢，再傾啦。學到啲乜嘢？嗌出嚟啊！鞭策自己，好好。數字係咪啊？數字多啲數字，揾啱嘅人。唔好抱怨邊個啊？係要自己要嘅，突破自己困難，揾到新嘅機會，好好啊！哇，咁得意嘅，佢有講咩？係咪有講啊？哦，係啦，我哋係要建立我哋團隊，係咪啊？係啊係啊，要一定好重要，好重要係。多謝你提醒啊！所以好勁啊！呢個名單嗰度係勁重要。佢係一個好好嘅，真係好聽話。名單真係切實寫，跟住話 I just got back， 佢真係 got back。因為個名單同埋 I just got back， 我所以先入咗行啊，兩樣加埋啊。我入咗會我都係冇乜反應㗎咋。你都知有啲人入咗會，我覺得點解咩？係兩樣嘢，名單，仲要唔放棄。我153號嘛，之前冇嘢發生㗎喎，佢可以唔做㗎嘛。佢當失敗都得嘅喎。其實佢當時如果153號之前呢，佢當失敗，佢都可以話又一次失敗都得㗎，絕對可以。不過佢冇即係冇堅持咯，真係。你仲要諗下一樣嘢，佢當時係超窮嘅喎，係窮到係瞓街嘅差唔多。佢冇晒錢嘅喎，即係佢喺嗰度堅持，再加埋咧係最借錢去巴塞隆拿，跟住翻嚟咧仲係即係佢聽話 I just got back， 仲要好精神咁講呢一句嘢。即係就好重要，名單好重要。佢未啟發㗎，佢再問多幾次㗎。佢話唔掂啊，唔掂啊，唔掂啊，點啊有。所以 Alan 先至話同佢見完嗰40分鐘啦，完咗之後咧，第一時間咧，其實佢講漏咗，首先殺咗佢先，然後先自殺佢自己，即係想死嗰種啊。I'm talking about how you get recognized, you know, on stage. Actually, Alan said two things. Number one, he want to kill you, and then he will commit suicide. That's what he said.
No, he didn't want to kill. Well, he didn't say anything about killing me.
Yeah, he just want to kill himself, right? That is why, you know what I heard from him. To me, two versions, maybe both, you know.
Yeah, well, maybe he told you different.
Exactly, yeah. Anyway, 我講點解會講呢啲嘅有？係冇錯，相信。即係你諗下，佢咁鬼窮。做咗咁多嘅拒絕，佢都會繼續做，我覺得好犀利，真係贏家就係咁樣樣啊！好相信就係卡文講嘅，好相信。咁好啊，大家將呢樣嘢係放喺你自己人生當中啦。咁今晚7點半咧就係一個英文嘅 HOM 啊，咁咧就好好啦。我哋大上線 Craig Jones 啦，英文版啦，即係好標準嘅英文啦，係啦。咁時思啦，兩個係英文版，亦都係啲英文見證。咁我建議大家嚟咧。都學下英文，因為你知唔知康布魯好多人係唔識英文，變咗英文流。Nutty 第一個啦，跟住就阿 Joanne 啦 ，Joanne 我哋新主席組成員啦，佢嗰場就用講國語，但係之前咧唔係第一日上晝去做 MC 係全程用英文，係啊。咁跟住仲有阿茉莉創辦係咪用英文講啊？係咪好高貴啊？佢哋係零英文，全部係 zero 英文嚟㗎。喺康布萊就不斷聽，咁特別係講緊係康布萊嘅試行計劃產品咧，你咪當學英文咯。呢啲係最快學到英文嘅地方嚟㗎，好嘛？即係多多少少都識講幾句啦。咁大家食少少嘢，咁你7點 3、4啦。咁今日咧就會係現場版，好嘛？咁好啦，咁再一次感謝大家，and thank you everybody，thank you Eric for the translation，and thank you Craig for all the amazing sharing。再次你掌聲 ，thank you。好 ，see you，bye，thank you。多謝線上嘅學員嚇，感謝。